From the Fantasy Armchair, it is the Fantasy TyRant. Hey there, fellow fantasy football freaks. Welcome back to the Fantasy Armchair. Today, I'm at the Alamo in San Antonio, Texas. Yeah, I'm really here, honest. Don't believe me? Watch this. The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas. See? Told you. So anyway, week 5 is in the books, and we roll like a freight train right through to week 6. But before we do that, I just want to thank you real quick for all the new subs and likes that you've been putting up. We still need more likes to appease the YouTube gods, but I'm seeing vast improvement, so thank you for clicking that thumbs up. Check out the timestamps and click ahead to the top 10 if you don't want to hear the big announcement. But you probably should. I would if I were you. You responded well to the call for more subs and likes, and it's paid off. We got past 400 subscribers way before our goal. So as a thank you, break out your calendars, because I've got another big announcement. It's the big announcement, brought to you by Pabst Blue Ribbon. No longer just for broke hipsters who can't afford bottles of IPA. Grab yourself a pack. So this Sunday morning, I'm going to have a very, very special Dinker Stinker Power Hour. It's going to be a 3-hour watch party extravaganza. So get up early with me, put on a pot of coffee, add a few extra shots of espresso, and maybe add a shot of rum, just for fun. And join me as we watch the morning game between the Jaguars and the Dolphins, coming to us live from jolly old England. So in that case, you might want to swap out the coffee and donuts for tea and crumpets. Maybe have some kippers with poached eggy and toast for breakfast. Skip your dentist appointment this week, whatever stereotypical shit you gotta do to get ready for the game across the pond, you limey bastard. So we'll watch the game together, but of course due to legal copyright reasons and shit, I can't have the sound on from the game. So you're gonna have to watch it there on your own. But we'll watch it together, banter back and forth, have some drinks and eats. We'll laugh together, we'll cry together. And who knows, it might make the game more fun. And considering the teams involved, that's practically a guarantee. Ever wonder what it'd be like to catch a game with your old pal the TyRant? No? Well, fuck you, we're doing it anyway. And in the second half, I'll start answering questions. I'll go over streaming kickers, streaming defenses, injury updates, weather report, my top deep dives of the week, the usual shit that you get on your Tinker Stinker Power Hour. All the shit you need to set up your lineup. All as we try to stay awake, watching the Dolphins and Jags make American football look like shit to those soccer nuts in the UK. You see, that's why you need the shot of rum. Anyway, hope to see you all there. And don't forget to sign up on my Patreon if you want entries into the Grandprize Giveaway, because you could win a stitched jersey of the player of your choice. I'm talking real shit, not something I stitched together in my basement or something. It's the real deal. Of course, you also get one-on-one counseling for your team, advice, all of that from me, the Fantasy TyRant. That's right, you get in my DMs. Plus exclusive content, articles, videos. I'll give you a shout out on my show. Plus, if you sign up today, you get 15 entries into the Grandprize Giveaway. Click the link in the description for more information and to sign up. Also, I'm changing some things up in the schedule, which I'll be talking about at the end of the show. Big things happening for the Fantasy TyRant, and I gotta make room for that. I'll let you know all about it. I'm on the rise, so come rise with me. But anyway, let's get into the reason you're here. Yeah, because you know what that music means. It's time for my top 10 waiver wire picks for week 6. Number 10, Dan Arnold. He was traded to the Jags just before the Thursday game of week 4, but still got some targets and catches in that game. Then, after his first full week of practice in his new offense, he hauls in 6 of his 8 targets for 64 yards. Yeah, the fumble hurt, but he still produced over 10 fantasy points in PPR. Obviously, the Jaguars like him and plan to use him, which is why they traded for him. He could end up being the much-needed security blanket for Jags rookie QB Trevor Lawrence. As we know, rookie QBs love their tight ends, and now Trevor's got one of his very own. If your tight end's injured or underproducing and you're ready to move on, kick the tires on Dan Arnold. You might be pleasantly surprised. Number 9, David Njoku. When he was asking the offseason if he wanted to be traded, Njoku said that he's fine where he is and likes it there. I couldn't figure out why, and then I started hearing buzz about them wanting to use him more in the offense. Like, finally? We've heard that before, and Austin the Hooper's still there. But then in week 1, he caught 3 of 5 targets for 76 yards, and he started paying attention. But then he was barely used in weeks 2 through 4, despite Landry being out. So I figured all the hype about him leading up to week 5's game was more smoke being blown up our ass. But it turns out, Njoku might actually be a thing. And if he is, that could be huge. He led the team in targets and receptions, and unlike Higgins and Peoples-Jones, I don't think this is just a flash in the pan for him. I'm buying in, and if it ends up bullshit, I'll just drop him for someone else in a week or 2. That's why he's not very high on the list, despite having such a high ceiling. The implications are juicy, but we'll see if things go as implied. Pick him up though, just in case. Number 8, Mecole Hardman. Yeah, Mahomes and the Chiefs are having a little bit of an off year. And yeah, Hill and Kelsey have a relative stranglehold on the targets in that offense. Or do they? Only Hill's out-targeted Hardman over the past couple weeks, and now he's dealing with a knee issue. Keep an eye on that. Overall, yeah, I think Hardman's the number 3 target in that offense, but the gap isn't as wide as it used to be. With Hill banged up, and defenses keying in on Kelsey, Hardman, who's already quietly been a viable flex option every week, could see his targets and catches go up significantly, along with his fantasy production. And this week, they take on that weak-ass Washington secondary, who are giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers. So if you have room on your bench, you should pick him up just in case that injury to Hill is more serious than we think, or just for a viable bye-week fill-in otherwise. Either way, he's worth grabbing if you can. Number 7, Marquez Callaway. With a slew of injuries to the Saints wide receiver core, we all thought that Callaway would be a star. And when 2 games in, he showed nothing, we dumped him. And then he went off in week 3, so then we picked him back up. But then he barely did anything, so we thought week 3 was a fluke. But then in week 5, he goes off again. What the fuck? Is he trash or treasure? He's like that douchebag friend who doesn't show up to your party even though they insisted they'd show up and bring a keg. So now he doesn't show up, you don't have a keg, and your party's ruined. So you write off the dude. But then the next week, he shows up out of nowhere to help you move. So you think he's cool, and you give him another chance. But then he fucks your girlfriend, so you tell him to go fuck himself. But then the next week, he donates a kidney to your grandma to save her life. So you're like, what the hell? Okay, so it's not quite like that, but you get the picture. But now that Deontay Harris is nursing a hammy, Callaway might actually come through on a more consistent basis, at least until Michael Thomas comes back. The question of consistency and the imminent return of MT are the reasons why I don't have him higher on this list. But dude can ball, and if he actually gets consistent targets, he could be a valuable fantasy asset. Wide receiver 3 or flex with upside. So maybe we give him another chance. That bullshit friend though could go fuck himself. Kidney or not. Sorry, Grandma. Number 6, Hunter Renfrow. What the hell is this guy still doing on this list? How is he still under 50% owned over all platforms? He's good for 12 to 15 fantasy points every week and is the 26th highest scoring wide receiver this season. Definitely worthy of fill-in duty from your bench. Maybe not next week against the Broncos, but definitely the week after against Philly. He will be juiced up. I think he's a good commodity to have sitting in your reserves, so it boggles my mind that he's still available in most leagues. Even when Carr is shit in the bed, he's still looking for Renfrow to clean up, as Renfrow has been the number 1 target in that offense outside of Waller. So go get him if he's available. Number 5, Hunter Henry. For whatever reason, Henry's been the guy, and he's now the clear tight end 1 rather than just a 1A for New England. This could be big for him. You heard what I said earlier about rookie QBs and the tight ends? They go together like peanut butter and jelly or lube and porno. One only works best when they can rely on the other. With that being said, Mac Jones has targeted Hunter Henry at least 5 times over the last 3 weeks, and Henry's caught touchdowns in the last 2. Compare that to Jonnu, whose targets have gone down in that same span of time. All the way down to just 2 last week, compared to 8 for Henry. Jones has clearly picked his tight end. You should have given him a rose like it's The Bachelor or something. And this week, the Pats play the Fantasy Fiesta of Dallas, who tends to have trouble with tight ends, rating in the bottom 5 against the position. So let's pick him up and stick with him, until Belichick changes his mind anyway. Number 4, Tim Patrick. How the fuck is this guy still on waivers in 70% of leagues? He's a flex or better every week. He's right around the borderline of top 30 wide receivers in scoring this season, and yet he isn't even rostered in most leagues, not even on the bench or as a bye-week fill-in. That shit better has changed this week, as he showed yet again to be a favorite target for Bridgewater this past week with 24% of the target share. He's the clear number 2 target for Teddy behind Sutton, and at least until Judy comes back, Tim Patrick is damn near an every week starter, at least in the flex. He needs to be owned in all leagues, especially with buys starting this week. So if you own Debo or Ridley or the Jets or Saints wide receivers to a lesser extent, you might want to pick up and start Tim Patrick this week as they face the Raiders' bottom 10 D against fantasy wide receivers. Don't just go, oh, okay. Do it. Number 3, Devontae Booker. Alright, now this is where things get a little murky. The top 3 waiver wire pickups are where it's at this week, and everyone is talking about the same 3, ranked differently depending on who you talk to. So I'll just say that this all comes down to what you need. I have them ranked the way I do for reasons, and I'll get into that. But just know, it all depends on what you need, so pick up whatever works best for you. In the case of Devontae Booker, he played really well for the Giants, and if Saquon Barkley were to miss extended time, he'd be a killer asset. The thing is, it turns out that Saquon's injury is only a low ankle sprain, so as bad as it looked, yeesh, it could have been a lot worse. If Saquon were going to miss more time, I'd have Booker up higher on the list. But as it looks for right now, he might not miss more than 1 week. I do think in terms of production, Booker has the potential to be the most potent running back on this list. But I only have him at the number 3 spot because he's looking at 1, maybe 2 weeks of fantasy viability, which will help with the bye weeks, especially this week if you have Kamara or Patterson. The Rams are actually fairly weak against running backs, and with Glennon at the helm, the Giants will be turning to Booker a lot, just like they did on Sunday when they fed him 16 times with Barkley going down. So if all you need is bye week help for a week or 2, this guy's your priority. Go get him. Number 2, Kadarius Toney. With Slayton and Shepard out in week 4, Toney played pretty well. When Golladay got hurt on Sunday, leaving Toney as the wide receiver 1 for the Giants, Kadarius tore the roof off the motherfucker. 10 catches for 189 yards. Damn, son. We all want some of that. For bye weeks, for flex, for the rest of the season. Golladay hyperextended his knee and will likely be out for week 6. And while Shep and Slayton could be back, I still expect Toney to be the number 1 option for Mike Glennon in this offense. He turned to Toney early and often when he subbed in for Danny Dimes, and I think that's going to continue. He said after the game, quote, "Man, he's special. That was fun to see. You just don't see that at the NFL level, making guys miss like that," end quote. And in the preseason, Toney and Glennon would have taken the second team reps together, and it appears they built some chemistry with that. The first round rookie looks like he will be a superstar, and I expect him to get a lot of usage in this offense. He will probably need to throw a lot to play catch up. Add up all of that, and that makes him a great pickup. If you need help at wide receiver, Toney needs to be your priority ad this week, so snatch him up. And so that means my number 1 waiver wire target this week is Darrell Williams. The reason I have Williams at number 1 is because of longevity. DW will be subbing in for CEH, who will be out 3 to 4 weeks with a knee sprain. He will be a viable fantasy commodity for a bit longer than Booker, even though I think Booker has the potential for more production on a per-game basis if they're both starters. But Williams is no slouch either. He carries the ball well, averaging a little over 4 yards per carry, and he was already getting goal line work when CEH was still in, so I think in good matchups, Williams could put up solid RB2 numbers at least. McKinnon could cut in a bit in the passing game, but honestly, Williams gets passing game work too, so I'm not overly concerned about that. And the next 3 weeks, he's got Washington, Tennessee, and the Giants. That's juicy with a capital Oos. If you're streaming running backs to stop the bleeding while your injured running backs like CEH and Montgomery heal, Williams could fill in nicely. And since he is a running back and the one who has the longest potential viability on this list, he is my top pickup this week. So there you go, folks, my top 10 waiver wire targets for week 6. Real quick though, I got some honorable mentions for you. Alex Collins needs to be owned as well and could have been my number 11 pick. That is, in the case that Chris Carson is out for an extended period of time. And it's hard to tell at this point because he's got a slip disc in his neck that's been bothering him for years. But during the game in week 4, it flared up a bit, and there's no telling how long that's going to last. He could be out another week, he could be out another few weeks, could be on IR soon, we don't know. so keep Collins around if you can, just in case. On the other hand, the running attack in Seattle is going to be a three-headed monster. Well, Carson is gone, so Collins is going to be splitting time with DJ Dallas and Travis Homer, so be wary. Michael Carter would be a top 5 target if he wasn't owned in over 50% of leagues, but it's just over 50%, so he may be available in yours. Pick him up. I was wrong about Khalif Raymond, dead wrong. Looks like the Lions wide receivers are really just going to be a flavor of the week thing. Rashad Bateman is worth a pickup and stash. If he's there, you have the room, put him on your IR, and when he's ready to come off of it, make room for him, because he's going to be the shit. Ignore the Texans wide receivers. I don't give a fuck who they are or what they're doing. Can't trust anyone in that offense. I guess that includes Brandon Cooks. Ramondre Stevenson's worth keeping an eye on as well, but it looks like Harris escaped a bad injury. Although you never know what Belichick's going to do with them, so keep him around, for a little bit at least, just in case. And finally, there's no QBs left on the waiver wire that I'm really impressed by. Not falling for Mills, not falling for Winston. The only one I'd keep an eye out for is Trevor Lawrence. If he has a good week this week, I might have him on my list next week. Alright, freaks, that's going to do it for the Waiver Wire episode this week. I know there's a lot of information in this episode, but I hope you remember something from it.
I remembered the Alamo.
Hope you liked the episode. Come on, click it right there for me. Thank you. Well, come check me out later tonight, as I'm going to be talking sits, starts, and waiver picks with the Fantasy Hustler, joining him on his live streaming show that he does every Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 p.m. Pacific. So it's going to be instead of mixed notes, which I'm going to be moving to Wednesday. We'll answer your burning questions, help you with whatever you need. So come check us out then. Then, of course, like I said, Wednesday, I've got mixed notes coming to you. Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Same times as the show later tonight. That's tomorrow, Wednesday, and then Thursday morning, of course, it's the Thursday B&B, where I go over the benches and bumps for the Thursday night game. That drops at 6 a.m. Pacific time, 9 a.m. Eastern, Thursday morning. Then Thursday night, an hour before the game, I'll be on with the Jester from Fantasy Football Edge. Yeah, that group's going places, and it looks like they may be taking me with them. More on that in the weeks to come. Jester and I will go over sits and starts for the Thursday game and beyond. Then, of course, every Friday night / Saturday morning, it's the big one, benches and bumps for all the games. And of course, Sunday, the Tinker Stinker Power Hour. Although this Sunday, it's going to be 3 hours for the watch party. But Tinker Stinker Power 3 hours doesn't quite roll off the tongue. But anyway, we're going to watch the Jags and Dolphins go head-to-head in London. 6:30 a.m. Pacific, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Start your football day right with your old pal, the Fantasy Tyrant. I'll see you then. But come see me tonight with the Fantasy Hustler. 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. You'll find the link and details down below in the description. And then tomorrow night, same times, it's going to be mixed notes. But I'll see you all later tonight. Until then, I'm out. Peace.